They'll lynch you, but he did, and he laughs at
Good afternoon and welcome back to the West Ham Network. My name is Anton. I hope you're keeping safe and well as per usual. I'm here for the West Ham Daily. As we know, the stories are relentless and it keeps on continuing. And we spoke yesterday about Vlasic heading out the door, of course, and we know there is going to be plenty of other players linked to West Ham. But before we get started, if you are new around here, please make sure you do go and hit that subscribe button. We've hit the 13,000 subscriber marker. So thank you so much for your support. I genuinely mean that. Right, listen, when it comes to things like this, you know, I sit here and I say, subscribe, like, comment. It's cool. It really is nice that people support us. It's nice that we've got the memberships. It's really cool. The main thing I want to say is it's all about West Ham at the end of the day. If you ever watch my matchday lives, when I do the reports, I'm too busy concentrating on the game to even think sometimes about engaging with the chat. So I do apologise for that. But West Ham's the priority over anything that we do. So that's exactly it. And then when we report stories of particular players that are potentially coming in or going out, we don't want to be ITKs. We're no interest in being that, but we take some of the news stories and bring them to you. But on top of that, we dissect some of the stories and think, are they suitable coming into West Ham? And then we try and put our spin on it. Do I like them? Do you like them? And we're always going to disagree or agree on certain players, etc. as well. So that's just a bit of banter and a bit of fun that we're always going to have, isn't it? So like I've always said, keep your comments coming in. I really appreciate them, and we will go through them as many as we possibly can. Now, I know there are several things going on in the background in terms of players. I can see comments already coming in saying apparently we're close to Sosa from Stuttgart. Again, we've got two shows coming on a day, so make sure you join me later on at 5 o'clock for the Hammers Headlines, where I'll be going more in depth about some of the other players that we are interested in. But I'm going to jump into the chat before we get started, and then we'll get chatting to you all. So Toby Sampson's in there. First one in, going, Irons. Love it. Big game coming up this week against Nottingham Forest as well. So it's definitely going to be exciting. Loftus Cheek, no thank you. Well, we'll keep that one on the down low. Afternoon all. Apparently, according to the One Football app, we're closing to sign Borna Sosa from Stuttgart. Like I said, join me at 5 o'clock. You'll hear more about that as well. Good day, Hammers from Oz in Australia. Graham Lindsay, Loftus Cheek, no from me. Thank you very much. Darren Higgins, good evening all in the chat. Best wishes from Bangkok. Good to see you. My friends, afternoon playmates in the hot scorcher. You can say that again. Good morning from Upper Michigan. I love that, mate. What's the weather like there? Please keep me updated if you can. No, another injury-prone player. Peter, if you were to see the state of the Barnet underneath this, you would understand why I'm being the rapper for you and for you alone as well. Kings would be a good replacement for Diop. Dabs is saying on loan, I would take Loftus Cheek, but not permanent. Afternoon all from Cross Hammer. English Yardies in the house. Anton Hammer's family. Harry Page. Mings would be a good replacement for Diop. Again, like I said, please keep an eye on the channel where we will be discussing in depth some other players that we are linked to as well. The Cat, good afternoon all. Good to see you. Stephen Hayes, straight up there, straight in there. No. Peter saying another 8 to leave before the window closes and 10 in. Brian, please tell me that Borna Sofa deal is on Bud, Sosa, do you mean? Again, Brian, we're not an ITK. We don't really know. Nobody really knows. So you just got to wait until you see the player holding the shirt, vice versa, when it comes to all this sort of news. Seeing that West Ham are interested in Callum Hudson-Odoi, think he'd be good for us. Think he would be a really decent player as well. Afternoon hammers from Tommy Black. Loftus Cheek from Artel is a good shout in the middle attack. Afternoon, Anton. Good on you. Borna Sosa. Absolutely. Peter is saying rebuilding project has started. Absolutely. Jeremy, well done on the 13k, Anton. Now you can get some deals over the line. Listen, I wish we had some say in it, but we don't have a say in it, of course not. But I'm much appreciated for that as well. Alan, hi, Anton. Must be around 200 players we've linked to with now. Half of them are crap. Do you know what the funny thing is, Alan? This happens in all football clubs. You know, I've spoke to a couple of people in connection to the Talking Wolves guys, for example, and they said they're pretty much the same. Daily and weekly, they're linked to brand spanking new players all the time. So it happens at every single club. Look at Manchester United, for example, with Arnautovic and things like that. And I've seen someone put a comment up, you know, if Arnautovic became available, would you sign him? There you go. There's a question for you. I wouldn't, but would you? Tom Ross is saying Loftus Cheek, not for me. Gaz is in the house. Love how you all speak to each other. When it says we are close to a player, ignore it. Yep, you know what? You're right, because I think yesterday we were close to 2. So you learn to ignore that as well. Hi gang, Loftus Cheek, more like bare face cheek. It is very, very warm. Blue skies. And it's roasting, and I'm working, and I've got the computers all powered up, and it's generating to the heat. Fortunately, I'm working beside my door, but there is no breeze at all, so it's a struggle to get cool in this weather. And yes, I know it's only 12 degrees up here in Scotland. I know I've got my jumper on, etc. as well. Hi from Belfast. Hope you are well. Just a hop, skip, and a jump over the water from me. Dean Hodges is saying, "Hi, Anton. A huge note to Ross Bartley from the Isle of Wight, mate. I'm tempted." I am, but I've never gone this length. Never gone this length. Do you know what? I don't even mind showing you. Ready for this? Look, I'll bring it out. Look at the state of this. Look at that. I mean, it's not a hair show, but it's ridiculous. And I'm struggling. I am struggling. My hat's ruined as well. Tommy Blacker says, my takes for the day. Yes to Loftus Cheek. Yes to Callum. And yes to Sosa. But fortunately, I'm told the source isn't super reliable. What source is. So glad Vlasic is getting a move to a club who might be able to use him. He's not a bad player at all. He just doesn't fit Sweaty's way of playing. Stadium has done a sponsor deal to be called Billy Smart Circus. David is saying there's absolutely no point in taking any Chelsea player with an option to buy. Would literally be developing their player for free and getting no benefit at all. Alfie, hi Anton. I heard players love crazy Arnie. Transfer window should be closed before season starts, so deals are done early. Afternoon, John. Hope you are well. Did anyone do a double take on Scamacca when he came on? He looked like Arnautovic from behind at first sight. He's got a similar style of play as well. Definitely, I see that absolutely. No matter we are linked with, they'll end up with Everton. Ludders. Here's fine. Put some product in it. Robert Singleton. You need a Grealish hairband. Do you know what? People have said it to me, and I point blank refuse to do it. I would rather have a cap on, or I'd rather have messy hair. I just couldn't do it. The cat, we lack that creativity in the midfield, and Loftus-Cheek can give us that. We may not be in a position at the stage to turn our noses up as many as we miss out on players who could make a difference to us. Just don't tell Everton what we want. Absolutely. Will we have a team for the conference playoffs? We will, mate. We will. Anyway, as we normally do, roll the bad boy. Oh, what an idiot. Do you know what? There's no point in me. Sometimes I think I'm organized, and sometimes I'm definitely not. And I normally roll the titles, but before I do that, I'm going to give you a sponsor video. If you've not saw this week, our football prize is fantastic. Declan Rice sign top framed, but there is an opportunity to win up to 3 prizes for the price of 1 ticket. So get yourself involved on the football prizes prize this week. A great bit of memorabilia. Anyway, on today's show, let's roll the tape. Right, as we do, we're going to get started on today's show, of course. And the first piece of business we want to get through is the fact that West Ham winger Nikolai Vlasic arrived in Turin last night, we believe. And here is an image of him there in Italy ahead of joining Torino on a season-long loan. The attacking midfielder struggled to settle since joining West Ham from CSKA Moscow for approximately £25+ million last summer. But we believe the loan deal can be made permanent for around about £15 million. The player is also on expected, as it stands, 70k a week at West Ham. And in order to get the deal over the line going to Torino, he's going to have to take a wage cut of around about £10,000. So it'll put him on about £60,000 a week. But the benefit potentially to this deal is that West Ham don't have to cover the costs of the player. That's what we are led to believe. Things can change, of course. Fees can change, loan fees can change, etc., etc., etc. Now, there is an option to buy the player, like I said, for something in and around £15 million. But what we're led to believe is it's not mandatory. So it gives Torino an opportunity to see what the player's like. It takes him off of West Ham's books for a year. And if he does perform well, it gives West Ham an option to look at the player again come the end of the loan contract, or it allows West Ham to enter into negotiations with Torino. Now, I know there's a £15 million-ish clause in there, which would be roughly around about £15 million loss on the player, which is not great. It's not great business, again, by West Ham. We're used to doing this. But you know what? It's not been a great start to his West Ham career. He has struggled at West Ham. He made he made 31 appearances in total last season, but he only started 6 Premier League games last term and netted only 1 goal during a 5-minute cameo against Watford in December. Now, he is expected to complete his medical today. Other clubs in Italy were keen and interested to look at bringing him in. But I think this is a good deal for West Ham because you've got the World Cup coming up in the winter. I think Vlasic was a no-brainer. You know what? It's not about having inside knowledge. I think sometimes you just put 2 and 2 together. And earlier on in the summer, I suggested that either Vlasic will go permanently or go on loan, and I thought it would be a loan deal due to the fact that the amount of money that West Ham paid, so we weren't going to lose too much in the initial sell-on factor. But his coach, I done a video on it ages ago, and his coach at Croatia said the boy needs game time. He's a quality player who needs game time. And whether or not you think he's been given enough chances, I don't personally think he has shown enough in the chances that he was given at West Ham. However, he never had a run of games. He never wasn't consistent. He never had a consistent run of games. He never played in his favoured position, which is in the 10 role and behind the striker. He did look reasonably one of the better players in pre-season. I've got to give him credit where credit's due. However, he does look a little bit lightweight, and I think that he would have struggled and has struggled already to settle into life at West Ham and into the Premier League. So for me, it is a no-brainer that we're saying goodbye to Nikolai Vlasic. So what do you think? Leave your comments in the comments section as well. English Yardy is saying good luck to Vlasic. I'm convinced he'll do well there. He needs to play to get ready for the World Cup. Absolutely. Freno, good to see you, my friend. Hope you are well. Robert Singleton, yes, I seen it reported it yesterday. Attila is certain he will move to West Ham. I think they think that there's an offer in, but we just have to wait and see. Again, I don't believe everything until the person's holding the shirt as well. We've done that one. Getting ridiculous from Ludders. With players leaving and no cover, another loss and selling on is scandalous. Mark my words, we will struggle to and could get relegation. They have said it, the dreaded R word. Ludders, that I've never seen you or heard you be so negative over the last couple of years. It's not like you. But I get the sentiment. I don't think West Ham would let Vlasic and Benrahma and Diop leave without looking at bringing recruits in. Now, Vlasic is not going to feature for West Ham over the next couple of games. So losing him and not bringing someone in immediately isn't going to have a negative impact on West Ham right now. What's going to have a negative impact on West Ham right now is if we don't bring in a centre-half or a left-back, because we lack pace in the defence and we're struggling for centre-backs, especially if Diop's going out the door. So for me, the priority is get these guys over the door. The offers in for Carrere from PSG. Apparently, we're linked to this guy Attila from Fenerbahce, the Hungary central defender. That's the priority for me. Right now, the first priority, get them in the door. But you would hope that Moyes is working on recruits and bringing other players in the door. He's saying it. We're by no far means finished in this transfer window. So I think we will. I'm not going to be too concerned. I would be concerned if we don't bring someone in for the game against Nottingham Forest. But again, we're sitting on Wednesday. If we bring someone in over the next couple of days, are they going to walk straight into that team? I don't think they are. So I think we're going to have to go with what we've got for this game against Nottingham Forest and manage the situation 100%. And that'll definitely make for interesting reading. Pac-Man says Ruben Lingard cheeks isn't a project. He's reached his peak. Funny, but the same could be said for when we sign Lingard. And that is the truth. The same could be said when we sign Lingard. He wasn't getting game time. He was struggling for confidence, struggling for motivation. And most of the West Ham fan base wrote him off completely. Nearly all of them did. Wrote them off completely, and look what happened. Now, I know it's not worked out in the end in terms of coming back to West Ham. He's gone to Nottingham Forest. It's money, and it didn't work out for him when he went back from a spell from Man United. However, you could turn around and say hindsight's a wonderful thing. What if he had stayed at West Ham? Would his career have prospered and gone on? I think it would have if he had, but I don't think you can write off players with pure quality. Loftus-Cheek is only 26 years old. We'll talk about him in a minute, though. Razor West Ham, glad that Vlasic is gone. Dreadful signing. At least Moyes recognised at last. Adds nothing to the team in any position he played at 10 or wing. Now let's get in some plays as quick as he departs. Yeah, agree with that as well. You would love Loftus-Cheek at West Ham. Hope weather is better than here, raining heavy periods. Well, hope it is, seems so far. Patman, Burema, and Vlasic hardly did anything for you, and Diop just floated around the squad, not making a huge impact. As long as you get bodies in to replace him, you'll be fine. Attila, how are you doing, Sean? I hope you are well. Good to see you, GP, as well. A lot of people are disappointed at Vlasic because I think they think that he wasn't given the fair crack of the whip, but it is a coaching failure, always buying defenders. What about help up front? But as long as, every coach is going to have a failure signing here, there, and everywhere. Again, though, you could turn around and say he wasn't given enough opportunities and consistent runs in the team. What's Tompkins and Kwati doing at the moment? Could you imagine? We've got Payet. Remember that when he came out of the Players Awards? I was at that Player Awards, actually, ceremony. Fantastic one. It was. Trev Chib, afternoon all. I can see Moyes getting the most out of Loftus-Cheek if it was to work out. He's big, tall, strong player, not slow, decent shot, and can play a killer pass. Yeah, absolutely. Kwati's going for. Is he? What? I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm going to do a little piece over the next couple of days, obviously, because we've got the preview coming up for the Nottingham Forest game as well. As a joke, if Vlasic and Benrahma move on, who do we have as cover when we need to substitute Lanzini, which is almost certainly we will have to. We haven't got one fully fit centre-half at the club. And that's including, I think you're saying Zuma. I couldn't get the player out of my head there. Fair point on Lingard, but Loftus-Cheek has had a few loan spells and never shown anything. Well, I disagree there. I totally disagree. I'm sorry, Pac-Man, I do. I'm going to talk about him. Actually, you've just probably brought me to the relevant point now where I am going to go and talk about Loftus-Cheek. Now, hold on a minute. Hold up. Where is it here? I've got it here. So, West Ham, Crystal Palace, and a whole host of other clubs have been linked to signing Chelsea midfielder Ruben Loftus-Cheek this summer. And if he were to move to the London Stadium, it could be defined as a stroke of masterclass signing by David Moyes. Now, it was reported earlier on in the summer that West Ham were keen to sign the Englishman on loan from Chelsea, and we have previously been linked to Loftus-Cheek for several seasons. And does he fancy another season sitting on the bench under Thomas Tuchel's side? Now, several reporters have suggested he is extremely keen to find a move out of Chelsea with a small glimmer. Yes, please refer to what I am saying here. A tiny glimmer of hope that he could gain a spot in the World Cup squad, albeit that option seems a long way off. And a stumbling block for him signing for any other club would be his weekly salary. 150k it's reported that he is on at Chelsea. And that amount of money is a lot of money for a player that's not getting regular game time as well. Now, I'll dissect his game time in a minute. And he would need to consider dropping his salary dramatically if he was to gain a move to a club like West Ham. But there are other clubs that are interested. Crystal Palace, who we did have a loan for as well. But indeed, he has shown in recent seasons that he can be a top player when he is fully fit. He is 26-year-old. Yes, you have heard me right. 26 years old. And it feels like he's been around for such a long time, but he is only 26. And he's already shown that he can produce solid performances in the Premier League. So let's take a little look at his time when he was with Crystal Palace, where he made over 24 Premier League appearances for Palace in the 2017 and 18 Premier League season, contribute 2 goals, 3 assists, averaging an impressive 7 rating from Who Scored for his performances. So let me just see here. I've got the wrong thing here, right? I do apologize. I'm going to bring up a heat map, but in actual fact, it's very similar to the one. There's a slight difference from his time when he was at Crystal Palace. In actual fact, there's a lot more red in the kind of left back position as well, but everything else is pretty much the same. But when he was at Crystal Palace playing 24 games, he started 21 times. He scored 2 goals in that as well. He had 3 assists. He averaged 49 passes per game. He had a success rate of 83% passes in total during his game. He had 1 interception per game, 1 tackle per game as well. He had 66% successful dribbles. He won 51% of his duels. So he was a baller when he was getting given some game time as well. Now, I'm going to bring, not that one, this one here is his Chelsea stats from the 2021 season. He played 24 times. He's got a 90% success pass rate. He's got 50% accurate long balls, 1 interception per game, 1.5 tackles per game, 70% successful dribbles, 61% of duels won. And look at his heat map there. Look at the amount of ground he covers. It's something that David Moyes will absolutely look for in an abundance. So you can see why potentially he would look at a player like him. Let's just compare to Souček. There's Souček's heat map as well. So they're not that far off. Souček does a lot more running, but Souček does a lot more running in comparison to a lot of other players in the Premier League. But what do you think? You let me know in the comments. Now, I'm going to go through some more information on Loftus-Cheek. His performances during that season on loan at Crystal Palace did earn him a call-up to England's World Cup squad. So it's clear that if he can stay injury-free and enjoy regular football, that he can class himself as one of the better midfielders in the league. But being injury-free is the key part. Now, people will say to me, he's injury-prone. But if I look back at his injury records, back in January of this year, he was out for 17 days for what they called an unknown injury. He missed 5 games. He had a knock back in 2020. He missed 2 games. His biggest injury he's ever had is his Achilles tendon rupture, where he was out for 38 games in total, 280 days. That was the same injury as what Yarmolenko suffered for West Ham. Doesn't mean anyone who has a rupture means the game's finished or they've lost pace. He did struggle to bounce back from that season after his injury, but he has bounced back again, essentially, from that, and he looks like he is ready to go. And the 26-year-old's greatest season for Chelsea came under Sarri in the 2018-19 season after returning from a loan spell at Crystal Palace. He burst onto the scene in October, scoring a hat-trick in the Europa League against Bate Borisov, and then added his first league goal in the campaign just 3 days later against Burnley. From here, he went from strength to strength, impressing on the left-hand side of midfield, of a midfield three, and he scored in back-to-back league games in December. And he particularly impressed in Europa League, where he went on to score Chelsea's only goal in the semi-final draw against Frankfurt, as he grew in confidence, linking up with Hazard back then superbly. And they were on the same wavelength, combined for several goals that season. And Loftus-Cheek did glide effortlessly through the middle of the park. But he did get that Achilles injury, and he got it just before the Europa League final, but he was still rewarded with the fine form that earned him a new 5-year contract. However, the following season, in June 2020, he returned, but looked off pace when he worked under Frank Lampard, and I saw him head out on loan to Fulham, where he was able to get some valuable minutes under his belt, despite not settling the world alight. And that brings us to now, pre-season under Tuchel, a man who's previously spoken about Loftus-Cheek. What he said about him was, it's not decided yet. I was quite a fan of him when he was younger, when he came from the academy into professional football at Chelsea. It reminds us a bit of the style and movements of Michael Ballack, who remembers the German international superstar. And there were some links about him all the time with maybe a move to the German league, so we were well aware of him and his talent. Sometimes I don't know why things worked out as he wishes. Everyone wished, but he was on loan now and doing well. And he is leaving footprints when he goes to all these clubs, so it would be unfair to judge him until he sees him himself. And he likes to work with players who want to show up and turn up and make an impression on the team. So that's what Tuchel's going to do. So it's a lot of complimentary words from the manager. However, none of the Chelsea's current midfielders have the physical features of what Loftus-Cheek can do. He stands at 6'2", so he is a solid feature in the middle of that park. But if he can't break into the midfield at Chelsea, what does that mean? Can he be used different positions in the park? He can actually go further up the field. Under Antonio Conte at Chelsea, he played as a substitute striker for Diego Costa. And, you know, he can play up top if need be. And during his spell at Crystal Palace, he did play out wide a lot, either on the right or on the left. He showed the ability to play out there despite him being quite a bulky, solid lad. And his agility shows and carries through from his ability to drift past players with ease and cut inside to get his shot away as well. But essentially, I just wonder if this guy is a project, an absolute project for David Moyes. I don't like to rule out players who've got a history of being in and out of a team, because we just have to look at Jesse Lingard as one example of what David Moyes can do. The stumbling block here is 150k a week. We ain't paying that. We are not paying that. So let's see what happens. Let's keep an eye on this one as well. And I'll come into your comments. God, there are so many. There are so many. I'm going to have to choose and just go from somewhere. So let's see. Here we go. What has Vlasic done? Goals scored and assist? Nothing. So I don't get how people digging out Vlasic. Not like he played his position. He was brought in and given 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. David Moyes to blame here. Better have a replacement. Saints need to bring in players. They should sell Ward-Prowse. Kouati might be a good squad player, to be honest. Lindelof, anyone? No, and not for me. Vlasic really needed a full season first team to settle in my opinion. The problem you've got with Vlasic, again, is it's a World Cup year. It's not going to happen. He needs regular football and coming up to the World Cup, which is in a couple of months as well. Zuma hasn't looked fully fit since he joined. Loftus-Cheek smacks of desperation. Truly, if Moyes does not have a clue. Would you like to see Vlasic in the starting 11 every week? No, I would not. I'm not worried about Vlasic leaving. More like we've not been linked with a backup number 10 yet. That's not bad, though. I think we are. It's just they're working behind the scenes and we don't know about it. Razor West Ham, English Arnie Moyes is not a top coach, just average, so don't expect too much quality. I don't agree with you, Razor. I don't agree with you. West Ham 94, when Vlasic goes, does that mean Sarr can come in? I'll have to wait and see. Apparently Nottingham Forest are linked to Dennis. I think Nottingham Forest are linked to every bloody player. Loftus-Cheek won't upgrade your team. He shows flashes of talent and goes missing for 60 minutes. But under the right manager, will he? 100% Tony Hammer, but he's 25, 26. He could come good. I do agree with you as well. Vlasic at 10 every week would do no worse than Lanzini, who honestly has done nothing for 2 seasons. I think Lanzini has come back into his own at certain points of last season as well. Prefer Gallagher, though, to be honest. Artel, I do, but they're going to want big bucks from him unless we get him on loan. They are. Chelsea won't have any players, let us any players unless they do buy for Rice. And I think the other thing is, as well, is they're going to be going in the market for Fofana, and Leicester haven't signed many players, so they could be using these players as a negotiation tool to bring Fofana in. So maybe keep an eye on that one. Anton could also wrap Battle Russ into an ice cold hot tub. I would love to jump into an ice cold hot tub right bloody now, but I wouldn't film it for you. With Corny coming in, this means even less chances for Vlasic. Yes, I agree with you 100%, but I can't see it happening. Go for Gallagher, much better fit, much more impactful. Him and Rice would be great together. I think they would be. Rewist, I would like to see someone other than Suchek next to Rice. I know we have downs, but we definitely need some proper midfielders. I think a lot of players won't come to us because they know that Moyes is his favourites and they won't like getting game time like Vlasic and Kroll. I don't know if I do agree with that, Ludders, to be honest. I think that the players we miss out on are maybe West Ham aiming high, or the players that West Ham miss out on are players that are expecting to get stupid amount of money a week, and we're not going to break that that cycle as well. Loftus-Cheek stinks of desperation. Loftus-Cheek has been underused, bit part player at Chelsea, and his massive point to prove, and is a player of ability and vision. No brainer for me. Get him in. So funny when you hear different points of view, isn't it? Lanzini scores a couple of screamers every season and goes missing. Playing him for that is like playing Obiang every week after his goal against Tottenham. Who says Pedro Obiang? Who mentioned Pedro Obiang? I didn't, Russ. Did you? Wink. Wonder what I'm talking about. Just keep an eye on the channel and you'll see. Completely wasted his career at Chelsea. Gallagher would be great, but I don't think Chelsea would let us have him. I hope I'm wrong. I would love Gallagher. I'm not even going to beat about the bush. I would absolutely think he would be a brilliant player for West Ham. Getting him over the door is going to be the struggle. Get Gallagher. Slazai and Garino will actually improve the squad. Now, the next comment is interesting. Is it true? Breaking World Cup to start a day earlier. Is it? I've not seen that anywhere. I've not seen that anywhere, mate. I'm just waiting for that to pop up. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Away as well. Razor West Ham. To be fair, I think Moyes will definitely get in better quality now than Newman's huge input. And helps Skamaka. Vlasic done great problems left back as Creswell's finished in centre back as well. I got it by Rafa Silva from Benfica. Gallagher's situation will depend on the minutes he gets at Chelsea in the World Cup year. It's better than zero chance. I would absolutely love it. It's just, a loan deal, yes. I would want him permanently, but yeah. David, Loftus-Cheek's on about 125k a week. It's an absolute sick note. Chelsea desperate to put him in the shop window so they can get a fee for him next summer. Tell him to do one and they can forget Rice too. Hi, Anton. Everyone okay? Hope you're all well. We are. Thank you very much. Start to get the feeling that we are just Chelsea's failed projects, but are we? Because we haven't signed any of them yet. Just links. We'll have to wait and see. Hammerhead, Loftus-Cheek, no thanks. Don't want players with bad attitude at the club. Wish the season was over. I think you wish the transfer window was shut. That's our favourite saying. Let's hope he stays injury free. He wasn't injured. He threw a wobbly because he was terrible attitude. Another one like Ross Barkley. We need to stay well away from him. We'll see. We will see. If you're right, Moyes won't bring him in. Hammerhead, he hates a bad attitude, doesn't he? Absolutely. Another overhyped English talent that's nothing but average. Dan Hammer said we'd take Barkley. Barkley seems no better than Lanzini. It's a no from me in a month of Sundays. Loftus-Cheek is inconsistent. We should be playing hardball with Chelsea if they want decks for the future. We want Gallagher and Broja. Test their metal. Yep, good point. Benny going to be leaving soon, though. Sarr scoring a wonder goal is the only thing he's done in 2 years. Trini says, if we get rid of players and don't replace them, how's that clever? We already have a small squad and first team. We haven't signed anyone. You've not missed anything. I'm going to have to jump through because I'm going to have to head really soon. I've got to go back to work as well. We were willing to sell £40 million for Ward Price, but we're not test Chelsea with a similar bid for Gallagher. Yep, absolutely. Sick notes, great idea. Absolutely. And sounds like Sosa is incoming. So, like I said, join me 5 o'clock, where you'll see the Hammers headlines, and I'll give you more of an update of the incomings and outgoings at the club and what's expected. Several players we can talk about at that time. So please make sure you do join on there. The cat says, spot on, Anton. We've been chasing players for a couple of levels above us, but we need players just above our level because having brought in Skamaka, we have to back him with a bit of quality. And you're up for Ruben Loftus cheek in as well. And that would be a cheeky signing, of course. Listen, thank you very much for joining me on today's West Ham Daily. Is Ruben Loftus cheek coming into West Ham on loan or on a permanent deal? Something to keep an eye on. Vlasic is expected to sign on the dotted line for Torino extremely soon. So keep your eyes on that. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. If you are new around here, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you at 5 o'clock. Come on, Jorns. Thank you. Much love.
It's like a family tree.